Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to session 6.3 of the National Convention, When Worlds Collide, the Theory and Practice of Accounting for and Taxing Trust Income. I'm Paul Conde. I work for the Australian Taxation Office in Hobart. It's my pleasure to introduce Syd Jenkins, and I'll tell you a little bit about Syd in just a minute. Please, as a courtesy to our speaker and to other delegates, would you kindly turn your phones to silent or turn them off. Syd Jenkins is a taxation partner with Moore Stephens in Perth. Syd has spent the last 25 years overseeing tax advice provided by Moore Stephens. Prior to that, Syd spent 15 years working for the Australian Taxation Office, mainly in the old advisings and review area as a senior advisings officer. His work in the ATO involved many board, tribunal and court cases, and he's represented the Commissioner of Taxation before these bodies on numerous occasions. I have seen Syd's paper, and it really follows on from what Tony Slater told us in the session just prior, and it explores some of the real difficulties that tax agents and accountants looking after the affairs of trusts are going to be facing for the foreseeable future. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Syd Jenkins.
Thank you. Thank you. When you follow on from Tony, and I was aware of what Tony was going to talk about, it was fairly obvious to me that the best thing I could do was actually leave the convention and go somewhere else. A bar, a swimming pool, but anywhere but here. I was aware of what Tony was going to talk about, and it's fair to say that there's a lot of overlap. Listening to Tony speak, I was trying to find some points where we might disagree, so at least I could get up and try to refute what he'd said. But of course that would be futile given his obvious abilities and knowledge, and secondly, there wasn't anything that I disagreed with. So where do I go? Well, I'll present what I have. It does have a degree of overlap. What I will try to do is put a bit of a practical slant on the issues that we face, and we've faced them for a long time, and I think it's fair to say, and picking up on Tony's point, that given the government's current tenuous status and who really controls power, and it may be the fact that a couple of farmers do that, and trusts of course are a vehicle widely used by farmers, that the chances of change are fairly slim. I'm lucky. You would have added up the years and worked out that I've been around for nearly 40 years, and I've actually decided to retire, and I actually had decided to retire last week. It wasn't something brought on by what Tony said. So much of this is not going to be my problem, but it's going to be yours. I'm a great fan of Husey, and he often gets up and says, "I'm angry." And I am really angry. I, like many of you, have been around for a long time. I knew Graham Hill, an incredible mind. He raised many years ago the problem that we have with trusts, and everyone has ignored it. Everyone has ignored it. I'm angry with governments because they did nothing. I'm angry with the tax office because while they did something, I think the worst thing they did was withdraw some of the practice statements in recent times following Bamford, and have left us from the 1st of July 2010 hanging in the wind with absolutely no guidance or support in what we have to do. So when I decided to present, I knew this would be my last presentation in a public sense, and I thought, well, they won't ask me back, so I can be a little bit contentious and say what I feel and think, and it won't matter because I'll be